Hello fellow Misfortunates and welcome to the Rank 1 Jhin guide. So there is this Jhin player who is currently the Rank 1 Jhin in Korea and firmly placed in Challenger on the Korean solo queue ladder with 824 LP. But this is not the only thing that's remarkable about this player. While the meta builds for Jhin are quite stale, every player essentially building the same 6 items all the time, our Rank 1 player has a very special strategy that brought them great success in solo queue. Anyway, you've read the title of this video and you're probably asking yourself how that's supposed to work at all. Well, let's break it down right now so you can start exploiting this strategy for some easy wins in your own solo queue games. First things first, this player is not a Jhin one-trick, and I personally don't think one-tricking Jhin would be a good idea to begin with, because opposing tanks will simply ruin your day. Never pick Jhin against tanky team compositions. You could, for example, play Jhin in tandem with a tank slayer like Vayne, and then easily adapt to the matchups in Champ Select. So when our rank 1 player notices that the enemy front line merely consists of bruisers and tanks are nowhere to be seen, they always pick Jhin with the rune page of Fleet Footwork, Presence of Mind, Legend Bloodline and Cutdown with Biscuit Delivery and Time Warp Tonic secondary. Their shards are double adaptive force and armor, but as always, if the enemy bot laner has picked a mage instead of an AD carry, you should go for magic resist to counter them. While some people greedily go for Dark Harvest on Jhin, Fleet Footwork has numerous advantages that ultimately make it the superior choice. The first big reason for this is how ridiculously powerful movement speed is on this champion. Being able to dash in and out of range with your fixed attack speed or while reloading allows you to maximize the damage you deal and minimizes the damage you take in return. The second reason that should also not be underestimated is the fact that Fleet Footwork puts you on the precision path. Especially after all the nerfs to Ravenous Hunter, the domination path in general is really not that good anymore. On Jhin especially, 9% lifesteal from Legend Bloodline is just way stronger than 6% Omnivamp. What's more, Cutdown is another great late game rune for AD carries, and since Jhin doesn't even buy a Doran's item, you can already get good value from this in the early to mid game. Mana is always important on Jhin because you have to be able to cast your spells in between your auto attacks or while reloading, or else your DPS simply wouldn't be high enough. This is the reason why our rank 1 player always takes Presence of Mind and Biscuit Delivery. With these runes you will have enough mana at every stage of the game, and Biscuit Delivery is also highly synergistic with Time Warp Tonic. While this rune is rather niche, it simply works perfectly with Jhin's playstyle. Jhin's early game is naturally quite strong, and getting instant value from potions mid-fight makes your trading and skirmishing potential even more oppressive. The biggest deal for Jhin though is the extra movement speed you get from this rune. For the reasons I mentioned before, dictating the pace of a fight with your movement speed is simply your best strategy when playing Jhin. Consequentially, the rank 1 player's starting items are always boots and 4 potions. Since all the other AD carries start with Doran's Blade or Longsword, you are outspeeding all your lane opponents right from the start with this setup. Having access to 4 potions as well also maximizes the value you get from Time Warp Tonic, making for a really powerful lane phase. But this is where it gets interesting. After completing Gale Force, which is always the first item you buy, the rank 1 player purchases 2 Zeal items. In a typical game, they buy Phantom Dancer into Rapid Fire Cannon. Rapid Fire Cannon is definitely a common choice, and everyone knows this item is crazy strong on Jhin. The extra range makes it extremely difficult for your enemy to punish you for hitting them, and a single auto attack from Jhin also deals much more damage than a single auto from most other AD carries due to the insane amounts of attack damage you get from your passive. But what about Phantom Dancer? Isn't it basically impossible for Jhin to get full value from the Spectral Waltz passive? Actually, this is not true, because after getting to full stacks you will keep the bonus for 3 seconds and your reload only takes 2.5 seconds. So if your timing is tight enough, you will get full value from the 30% bonus for your second round of auto attacks. But even if you never unlock the 30% attack speed increase, you still get the 7% movement speed bonus after just one attack. Not only is this enough to make the item gold efficient, but our rank 1 player simply understands that movement speed is one of Jhin's most important combat stats. The more the better, and with double Zeal item, Gale Force and Boots of Swiftness, navigating teamfights with Jhin is a piece of cake. They even keep a refillable potion with them for as long as they can, so they are able to still get the speed boost from Time Warp Tonic in the mid and late game. So at second glance, Phantom Dancer looks very strong on Jhin in theory, and in the Rift, the rank 1 player shows us that theory matches reality. Also, Phantom Dancer's passive says 4 in it. You get it? because it works at 4 stacks and we play Jhin, who is obsessed with a number 4. Lol, XD, click the subscribe button. However, there are situations in which they won't buy Phantom Dancer on Jhin. When they need healing reduction, for example, they will sacrifice the Spectral Walls passive for it and go for Mortar Reminder instead. After your double Zeal item core, you go for Infinity Edge for the crit amplification. Your last item can be anything you need, but Guardian Angel or Lord Dominic's Regards will make the most sense in most situations. The skill order is the standard Q-Max into W-Max, no surprises here, so let's jump right into the gameplay to see exactly what this double Zeal strategy looks like. So in this lane, Jhin is actually in a very tough matchup. Caitlyn Morgana is one of the strongest bot lane duos in the entire game, and one Morgana Q into Caitlyn's trap equals certain death for the recipient. However, for Jhin it is not as bad as for most other champions, because with boots level 1 he can easily dodge Morgana's Q on reaction. In fact, our rank 1 player is so confident in their ability to dodge the skill shot that they didn't even take cleanse in this lane. With his superior sustain and with heal for his combat summoner, Jhin can aggressively trade into Caitlyn right away. Doing this is actually quite important, because if you stay passive in this lane, you just give Caitlyn and Morgana the opportunity to poke you down for free with their superior attack range. When you have 4 potions and 3 biscuits to work with on top of the sustain from Fleet Footwork, you have to aggressively use your health as a resource and trade with your opponent as much as possible. After softening your opponents up with this strategy, you'll be able to get the biggest mileage off of your support's engages. Jhin's W is such a strong follow-up tool, and Caitlyn losing her flash means she has no way to react to Jhin flashing forward. Obviously, a single kill doesn't mean all that much, and Jhin will still get poked down in such a lane. Especially as Caitlyn starts putting more and more points into her Q, you will start to feel the pressure, and if your support doesn't find any openings, your best bet is to farm as much as possible and wait for your enormous mid-game power spikes. But yeah, let's not dwell on the laning phase for too long, since we are here for the Phantom Dancer at the end of the day. The enemy jungler tries to sneakily take Dragon here, and after catching them with a well-timed Nocturne ult, blue team abruptly ends the laning phase by placing down the Rift Herald and taking the first tower. Entering the mid-game, Jhin already got his most important item, Gale Force. Also an important detail to mention here is that Zeal items are incredibly cheap, which means Jhin will get his next power spikes much earlier than he should. This makes your mid-game even more oppressive than it already is, because your enemy most likely won't be able to acquire their items at the same pace. As most of you know, mid lane tower is the most important objective on the map, which is also the reason why Jhin is currently sieging here. Galio can take care of the bot lane, allowing Rakan and Jhin to apply pressure in mid lane while also still threatening to join potential fights with his ultimate. And even if all his teammates go for a roam, Jhin can simply hold mid lane by himself with his amazing wave clear at level 9. But despite being on just one item, wave clearing is not the only thing you can do. Watch how effortlessly Jhin can navigate the fight, moving in and out of range as he pleases and dodging crucial skill shots. But yeah, after clearing so many waves and picking up some kills here and there, Jhin is finally able to buy Phantom Dancer. I mean, seriously, just look at him go. This video material is not sped up, just regular Jhin footage, but he is just so fast. And this is what it looks like in teamfights. Especially when you add Gale Force's active and flash into the mix, your target access is outright ridiculous. Even if the enemy frontline would be too tanky for you, you can still attack them once to trigger all your movement speed buffs, and then run straight past them to get in range to burst down your priority targets. After this fight, blue team can finally break even in terms of mid lane towers and then take down Baron on top of that. Winning a fight is useless if you don't claim objectives right afterwards. A typical mistake in low elo is that people just recall while their enemies are dead, when they could simply take down towers or dragons as their opponents are literally unable to contest them for it. If you are in low elo, an easy way to climb is to just get into the habit of looking for objectives to take after every kill. Chances are you will find one or two, even if they are small ones like Scuttle Crab or just some free tower damage. Kills don't win games, but towers do. Now with Baron buff, you typically don't want to fight, but rather siege the opposing towers, but if your enemies overextend for no reason, you of course can take advantage of that. After you get picks like these, your enemies can't even hope to protect their inhibitors from your Baron push. Again, they are dead and you punish them for it by claiming objectives. In theory, it is optimal to recall after taking down the inhibitor and to immediately do the same thing to one of the other lanes here, as your opponents will be busy with super minions in mid lane and therefore can't fully commit to protecting their other towers. Blue team, however, fails to retreat in time, getting into the next teamfight instantly. This is risky because the enemies have just spent all their gold and are quite strong as a consequence, but the good news is that we can see Phantom Dancer Jhin in action again right away. Just crazy how incredibly safe you are while still dealing insane amounts of damage. Also being able to chase a Morgana through a choke point without getting hit by her Q is almost unbelievable. And at this point, red team cannot protect their Nexus anymore. But again, keep in mind that Jhin is not a good pick into tanky team compositions, so make sure you also have a tank slayer in your champion pool to cover Jhin's bad matchups. As I said earlier, Vayne does this job perfectly, so if you want to pick her up too, just click the link on your screen right there.